Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Second video in, and to those of you watching this for the first time, so we're trying to build a sim racing rig, and this is my journey into it. After this, we're gonna start racing, obviously, but the basic first part is to start building the rig. And yeah, it's been a very interesting journey, man. I've been shopping around for a ton of different things. Basically, well, you know, the rest of the rig. In the previous video, I showed I got an Xbox X Series, and it's Kickstarter to the experience into building a rig. For those of you who missed that video, you might want to go back and check it out on my channel. I'll talk about how how to set up a rig and the different elements and parts of it, which is the hardware bit and costs and all that type of stuff. So in this bit, I'm going to cover what I've gotten so far and how far I've gotten in terms of like research and where we're going, and kind of build on top of that. So yeah, so there's three bits to building a rig, So the first bit obviously is you gotta have where you're gonna run your game, which is the machinery. In my case, I have the Xbox One Series, and a lot of people prefer either PlayStation or a computer, depending on what game you want to run and what sort of racing that you're going to do. I am mostly going to start with Formula One, purely because I'm an F1 lover, and that's where I'm going to start off. And for that, you have PC, you have PlayStation and Xbox, and you can get it on any platform. So again, that's where I'm going. The first bit, when it comes to building a rig, like I said, was where you're gonna run your game. The other bit is obviously it's gonna be your screen, where you're gonna sit, and obviously your paddles and steering wheel. And I've been shopping around for the paddles and steering wheel and the seat. And boy, oh boy, like I said in the previous video, building a sim rig is very expensive.
So we don't have the capacity.
Building a rig can cost you anywhere between, I guess, if you're being modest and if you go all second hand, you can start somewhere around between $600 all the way to, I think the most expensive sim racing rig I've seen is somewhere around in the $100,000 range. That's that's for those people who are in that space. But I'm an entry level type of sim racing person, and I'm gonna walk you guys through what I found out so far. So first off, this screen. I have multiple screens. This one I use for work, and I have a different LG. I think so. I have a different Samsung screen that I also use for work, and I have a 58-inch flat screen TV. So obviously, when you're considering a screen, the first thing that you want to have is you want to be as comfortable as possible when you play your game. So that entails having the proper kind of brightness, with the resolution and all that type of stuff, and also the refresh rate. So the higher the refresh rate in some games, the better the game plays. Obviously, you'd want refresh rates that are around 120 hertz, and you want your TV to go up to 4K if your game supports 4K, and just have different elements to it. So like I said, for me, I have three sets of options for the screen. The first one is this Dell. It's a S27, a Dell S27 21H, and it's a pretty good screen. Like, I use it for my work. It's about 75. It is a 75 hertz refresh rate. I forgot what the resolution is, but it's a pretty decent screen. But I don't think I'd game with it because, like I said, I use it for work, and this wouldn't be the most ideal setup for me to game on because I want to be in a more comfortable space. So I'm not gonna use the screen to game. And then the second option is going to be the flat screen TV. I have a Hisense Series 6, let's call it an A6, and it's a pretty decent screen, 4K UHD. And unfortunately, the refresh rate is a bit low, it's 60 hertz. But I feel as someone who's starting out, it would do a decent job in terms of me actually playing the game. So I think that's going to be my go-to screen in terms of where we start out. And I guess we'll see as I start playing the game how it's going to turn out. And you can go on this journey with me, you'll also find out. And I guess this is the perfect time for me to pause and say, if you haven't yet, like and subscribe, leave a comment, and yeah. Anyway, back to it. The other bit would obviously be the next thing is obviously going to be the steering wheel and paddles. So it's been a very interesting journey for me in terms of like what I'm going to get as an entry-level sim racing person. And I considered the 3 entry-level options. The first option was Thrustmaster T80. It's this one with the Ferrari logo on it, and pop it up on the screen right there. I read a lot of reviews where people were not necessarily happy with the force feedback for the T80. I guess I was on Facebook Marketplace looking to see if I could get a cheap secondhand one, and yeah, a lot of people were selling theirs. So I also spoke to a shop salesperson who told me I wouldn't have the most enjoyable experience with that, especially for F1. I read a couple of reviews that said that it didn't work with Formula One. So I'm not quite sure how far true that is, but immediately I had to X that out. And then the next thing was the Thrustmaster T300. Oh, the T80 costs around about $200 or around 3,000 Rand, for those of you who are in South Africa like I am. Then the Thrustmaster T300 costs around about $450 or 10,000 Rand for those of you who are in South Africa. The T300 was considered to be way better. Apparently as a built tension force feedback, and it from all the reviews I read, it's great build quality, it's great leather, and everything that that you'd want as an entry-level sim racing rig builder. The other steering wheel that I was considering is the Logitech G920. I think that's the Xbox version, the G920, because there's the G9T2, which is the PlayStation one, and the G920 is the one that is Xbox compatible. So that was my other consideration, and I'm still weighing my option in terms of which one would work best. I think Thrustmaster has been in the game in terms of building a lot of simulation things. So I know they also build simulation equipment for planes, and I guess extrapolating off of that, they would build pretty great. They build pretty great material for racing as well. But Logitech has also been in like production of electronic equipment for a while now. Like we all use Logitech keyboards, mouses. Like they have great stuff that they build. So I'm still trying to figure out how much it's for. The Logitech steering wheel. It's pretty much the same as the Thrustmaster 300, which is around about $400 to $500, which is about 9,000 to 10,000 Rand, depending on where you get it. And I guess that would be the first place the one of those two is most likely what I'm gonna go with. So it brings us to the last thing in terms of like building a rig. Last thing's gonna be sitting. In terms of like finding a seat, I'm still trying to figure out which one would be the best one in terms of like price range.
As we don't have the capacity.
I'm trying to not go above 1,000 as a starting point in terms of like getting both the seat and the the steering wheel. So what I'm gonna start out with is, I guess I'm gonna maybe just play the game on my regular office chair. It's a gaming chair, like just normal office chair, and see how that goes whilst I continue research on what will be the best seat. Um, yeah, but I've seen many different rigs, man. Like there's very many different variations of how people race. Some people have fold up seats that you can set up and like take apart whenever it is and you're done. Other people have really like um so what I'm looking for, have really complicated rigs that need to be set up, and when they set up, it's set up in a room and you can't take it apart, and taking it apart is a job. I think I saw one on Matt Armstrong's channel where he was playing against the X-Dig. I think he's called Evolution or Evo, and that rig was moving, and it kind of had like, it would simulate what like the motion of the car as you're playing the game. And the most expensive rig I've seen, I think, was from a company called RSS. And RSS, that one's pretty pricey. If you have the money, it was around about 55,000 euros or pounds. I only know of this because I think I saw Pierre Gasly, the F1 driver, test the rig. And yeah, so hey, every person has to start somewhere. And I guess for me, it's basically starting out with the basics, and then we build on top of that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. In the next video, I'm gonna be building I guess I'll have either the screen and the seat, or just sorry, back that up. I have the steering wheel and the seat, or just the steering wheel, and we're gonna set it up and see how that drives and how that works, and I'll give you guys a review. But other than that, hey, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.